We are unpacking a really, really fascinating piece of writing. It's a poem called The Long, Slow Goodbye by an American writer, Cornell Overbeeke.
And I know what people are thinking.
I know, as soon as I say poetry, some people might reach for the skip button.
Yeah.
But stick with us. This isn't about, rhyming couplets and flowers.
Not at all. This is a rigorous, almost ruthless philosophical thought experiment. It's a logical argument disguised as verse.
And Overbeeke is setting up a very specific paradox.
He is. He's saying that human beings are the source of all meaningful value in the universe, specifically because we are weak, specifically because we die.
Okay, so before we get into the heavy philosophy, let's ground this a little.
Mm-hmm.
Who is Cornell Overbeeke? Because his background actually changes how you read this.
Oh, context is everything here. Overbeek isn't some academic in an ivory tower theorizing about the afterlife. He's a physician.
A doctor.
A practicing doctor down in Florida, has a couple of daughters, 2 dogs. I mean, a very grounded, normal life. But his day job is crucial.
Because he sees it up close.
Right. Think about what a physician actually does. They don't just help people. They exist in that weird liminal space between here and gone.
He sees the machinery of biology fail every single day.
So when he writes about death, it's not this abstract concept.
No, it's clinical.
It's absolutely clinical. He's watching the clock run out on people constantly. And the sources know that his themes, love, mortality, the problem of evil, these are basically clinical realities for him.
And that reality leads to what the notes call the creative paradox. This is the engine of the whole deep dive. And it's almost an economic argument, isn't it?
It is pure economics. It's supply and demand. The source material draws this sharp line between the creation of matter and the creation of value.
Okay, break that down for me, because usually we think creation is creation.
Well, in this cosmology, God and the divine council, the angels, the immortals, they have the power to build the stage.
Right.
They can create stars, physics, gravity, black holes. They can manipulate matter because they have infinite power and, crucially, infinite time.
Okay, so they can build a house.
They can build the house. But the argument here is they cannot create value inside the house.
Why not? I mean, if you can make a star, surely you can make value.
You'd think so. But value is derived entirely from scarcity.
Okay.
If you have an infinite amount of gold, gold is worthless. You'd pave your driveway with it.
Right. If diamonds were as common as gravel, nobody would want a diamond ring.
Exactly. Now apply that logic to time. If you have an infinite amount of time, if you are an immortal being, a single moment has 0 weight.
Yeah.
It costs you nothing to spend it. You can waste 1,000 years, and it just doesn't matter because you have 1 trillion more waiting for you.
That is actually kind of disturbing. It makes eternity sound like inflation.
It is hyperinflation of existence.
Mm-hmm.
But because human life is scarce, because it is terrifyingly finite, every single moment you spend has a cost.
You're spending a currency that's running out.
And that gives the moment weight. That gives it its price.
So our weakness, our limit, is actually what gives our lives texture.
It's what gives our lives value. And Overbeek puts this right in the opening lines of the poem. He writes, "Our human hearts alone possess that mortal love the gods abhor."
The gods abhor. I got stuck on that line. That is a very strong word. Abhor.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just that they dislike it. They hate it. They detest it. Why would a divine being abhor our love?
I think the text suggests it's because it's completely alien to them. It's the uncanny valley of emotion. The next lines explain it. "For nothing that can never die can comprehend the nevermore."
Comprehend the nevermore.
Just think about that. If you are an immortal being, nevermore is a concept that simply does not compute.
It's a foreign language.
You can't run a simulation of it in your head. It's like trying to explain the color red to someone who only sees in black and white. They can't grasp total loss because they exist in a state of permanent retention.
So they abhor it because it represents a power they can't access.
And because it creates an intensity of emotion they can't replicate. Imagine you are one of these angels. You're sitting on a hallowed throne of fire, as the poem says. You're safe. You're powerful. And you look down and you see these little fragile creatures loving each other with this desperate screaming intensity.
Because we know we're going to lose each other.
Exactly. And that desperation creates a heat that the angels just can't generate. You'd feel left out. You'd feel like a spectator at a sport you aren't even allowed to play.
Okay, let's dig into that spectator perspective. The poem shifts to show us how the immortals see us. Immortals watch with envied eyes.
There it is. The jealousy.
But I have to push back on this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I play video games. If I turn on the God mode cheat code, I can't die, I have infinite ammo, I can walk through walls. I usually feel pretty good about that.
Sure.
I don't look at the guy getting eaten by a dragon and think, man, I wish that was me. Why would they envy the struggle?
That's a great analogy. But be honest, when you play with God mode on, how long is it actually fun?
I mean, 20 minutes? Maybe half an hour?
And then what happens?
It gets boring. There's no point.
Exactly. It becomes a walking simulator. There are no stakes. If you can't lose, you can't really win. You're just processing time. And the poem actually lists exactly what the immortals are missing because of this God mode, it asks. For what can changeless spirits know of human dread? Of hope? Desire?
The triad. Dread, hope, desire. Okay, hold on. Dread? I get missing desire, maybe? But who wants dread? I spend a lot of my life trying not to feel dread.
Of course. But the perspective here is that dread is proof of life. You can't feel dread if you're safe. Dread means you have skin in the game.
Okay, fair point. What about hope? That seems like a positive thing. Why can't angels hope?
Because hope requires uncertainty. Hope is, by definition, the desire for an outcome that isn't guaranteed. If you know you're going to win because you're eternal and all-powerful, you don't hope for victory.
You just expect it.
You just expect it. So hope is actually a symptom of weakness. You only hope when you aren't in control.
Wow.
And desire is the same thing. Desire implies a lack. You want something you don't have. If you have infinite time and power, the gap between wanting and having is basically zero. So you never feel the longing. You never feel the chase.
It's cosmic boredom. It's static existence.
A changeless spirit is just that, changeless. There's no narrative arc, no character development. Humans, because we have dread and hope and desire, we have a story.
This actually connects to a really fascinating theological angle in the source material about the rebellion, the Lucifer narrative.
Yes. This is where the thought experiment gets really interesting. The sources mention that in this specific framework, humans are considered most lovable to God.
Which I imagine creates a bit of an HR issue in heaven.
A massive issue. Imagine you're an angel, you've been there since the beginning, you're perfect, you're made of light, and then God makes these muddy, squishy, dying things and says, "These are my favorites."
Why, though? Why are we the favorite?
Because we have courage. An angel cannot be brave because an angel is never actually in danger. But a human can be terrified and still do the right thing. That makes us lovable.
So the rebellion, Lucifer, and the fallen angels, it wasn't just about power. It was about jealousy of that specific human capacity.
The source explains that they vowed to destroy man, or, specifically, to fill humans with fear and hatred.
Why fear and hatred?
It's strategic. If they can make us just fearful animals, if they can make us act out of pure self-preservation, then we're not displaying that courage anymore.
We lose our special status.
We lose our special status. We just become animals that die. And that's the great irony. The very thing we are terrified of. Our mortality is the thing that makes us superior. It's the source of the value we create. We are the only ones taking a real risk.
I want to pivot to the imagery Overbeeke uses to describe this love, because he moves from this high-level theology to something very visual. He uses the sunset.
That warmth that as we apprehend from burning sun now slowly setting.
Now I have to play devil's advocate again. A sunset is kind of a cliche, isn't it? It's on every Hallmark card.
It is.
Yeah.
But he's deconstructing why it's a cliche. Why do we stop and look at a sunset? We don't stop to look at the sun at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Because at 2 p.m. it's just there.
Fair.
It's oppressive. Hey.
It's static. A sunset is beautiful specifically because it is dying. The light is changing, the colors are shifting, and you know that in 10 minutes it will be gone. The beauty is entirely dependent on its transience. If the sun froze on the horizon and just looked like a sunset forever, it would become wallpaper. We'd ignore it.
It's the going away that commands our attention.
And Overbeeke connects this directly to human relationships. There's a stanza here that I think is the emotional core of the poem. The fragile vow two mortals keep, in knowledge full of its forgetting.
In knowledge full of its forgetting. That line hits hard.
It really does. It forces you to pause.
It's the idea that when I promise to love someone forever, when I get married, or even just promise something to a friend, I am saying that to a person who I know is going to die, and they know I'm going to die. We're standing on a trapdoor, promising to stand there forever.
And we do it anyway. That's the fragile vow. We make the promise knowing the biology will eventually fail us. That contradiction creates a texture to human love that an immortal being literally cannot understand.
The text calls it a fierce and fleeting radiance.
Fierce because it has to fight against time. Fleeting because it loses. That combination is what creates the radiance.
And then he gets even more intimate. He writes, For only we who dim with time can feel its constant ephemeral grace, and only those who know the grave can speak it, face to fading face.
Face to fading face. That's a physician coming out again.
It's such a tender image, but so sad. Fading face.
It is sad, but notice the word grace. He calls it ephemeral grace. Grace is usually something we associate with the divine, with the eternal. But he's saying there is a specific type of grace that is only available to things that dim.
It reminds me of, have you ever been on a really great vacation?
Sure.
The first few days, you're relaxed, you're kind of wasting time scrolling on your phone by the pool. But that last day, the last few hours before you have to pack and go to the airport.
Oh, everything is heightened.
The ocean looks bluer, the food tastes better.
Yeah.
You soak it all in because you know it's ending.
Because the scarcity has kicked in, the supply of vacation is almost out, so the value skyrockets. Overbeeke is arguing that humans are on the last day of the vacation every single day of our lives. We just forget it.
But the Immortals, they are on a vacation that never, ever ends.
And eventually, you stop looking at the ocean. You just stay in the hotel room and watch TV. You become numb to the beauty because the beauty is tied to the loss.
This brings us to the climax of his argument, the relationship between love and death. He doesn't just say they coexist. He says one feeds the other. Love grows richer yet when death draws back its faded arrow.
This is the mechanism. Death is the catalyst.
The faded arrow. It's like a threat that hangs over the room.
Think of death as a lens, or better yet, a pressure cooker.
Okay.
If you remove the threat of the end, does love grow richer? Or does it just dilute? Overbeeke argues that death focuses the beam of love until it's hot enough to burn. Without that pressure, love is just fondness, it's casual.
So we need the arrow.
We need the arrow to feel the warmth.
And that leads to his definition of love. He calls it the long and slow goodbye, which I have to say is a beautiful phrase, but it's a bit of a bummer to think about your marriage or your life as a long goodbye.
It sounds melancholy at first, but flip it around. It's an acknowledgement of truth. From the moment you say hello, the clock's ticking toward the goodbye. That's the contract.
Right.
But then he pivots to what we do with that time. He talks about the courage to remain.
To hold a hand, to breathe a vow, defying life's great theme of pain.
That's the rebellion of the human, defying life's great theme of pain.
We mentioned earlier that the angels were jealous of our courage. This is it, isn't it?
This is it. I mean, think about it. Is it hard to be good or loving if you're an angel in heaven where everything is perfect, you're full of light, and your belly is full?
It's easy. It's your nature. There's no friction.
Right. There is no risk. But for a human who is tired, whose back hurts, who is worried about money, who knows they're going to get sick and eventually cease to exist, to reach out and hold a hand in that context, that is an act of defiance. It takes grit.
It's resistance.
It's spiritual resistance. And that grit is the value. That is what the gods are missing. They have power, but they can't have courage because they have nothing to lose.
So when the poem says it is the glory of mankind, he's talking about that struggle.
Yes. He calls it the crown of those who know the fall.
The crown of those who know the fall. That's a paradox in itself. The fall, usually the biblical fall of man, is seen as our great shame, the moment we got kicked out of the garden.
Right.
But here, it's our coronation.
Because we fell into mortality, we fell into time, and by doing so, we gain the ability to create something the unfallen can't. We gain the ability to generate meaning.
The one possession only we can ever truly own at all.
That's the final takeaway. The only thing you truly own is your mortality and the love you generate within that time constraint. Everything else, your stuff, your status, your house, that's all borrowed.
It stays here when you go.
It stays here. But that fierce radiance of loving while dying, that's yours.
It really forces a complete reversal of how we operate. I mean, look at Silicon Valley. Look at the anti-aging industry. We spend billions trying to scrub away the fading face. We want to be the angels.
We do. We envy the gods for their eternity. But this poem is just screaming at us. They are looking down, envying us for our ending. They are seeking the prize eternity denies.
The prize is the ending.
The prize is the urgency that the ending creates.
So practically speaking, what do we do with this? If I buy this argument that my value comes from my expiration date, how does that change my Tuesday?
I think the message of the source material is about inhabitation. If mortality is your superpower, stop trying to dilute it. Lean into it.
Lean into a long, slow goodbye.
Right. Recognize that the anxiety you feel, the dread, the fear of losing people, those aren't bugs. Those are the friction that creates the heat. If you didn't feel them, you wouldn't be human. You'd just be a spectator.
It's like, don't wish away the difficulty, because the difficulty is the point.
It's resistance training for the soul. If the weights are too light, you don't get stronger. Death is the heaviest weight there is. And by carrying it, we become something more than the angels.
Well, this has been quite a journey. We started with death as the ultimate tragedy, and we ended with death as the ultimate crown.
A classic deep dive turnaround.
Absolutely. Cornell Overbeek's The Long, Slow Goodbye. It's definitely one to sit with.
It changes the way you look at the clock.
It certainly does. And I want to leave you with a thought to mull over as you go about your day. We've talked a lot about the envy of the angels and the value of our limited time. But here's the question. If the one possession only we can ever truly own at all is our ability to love within the constraints of time, are we wasting that possession by trying to pretend we're immortal?
That's the question. Perhaps the goal isn't to live forever, but to fully inhabit that fierce and fleeting radiance of right now.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.